Hello, I'm Eva, a 26-year-old woman who has gone through a lot in these past 5 years than I have in the previous years of my life. To start off, I met my husband Devin in college. We hit it off pretty well and dated for around 4 years before deciding to tie the knot. From the start of our relationship, Devin had been pretty open about his sister's struggles with finances and how he had been supporting her for a while. He told me that he planned to support her until she was able to get back on her feet. I didn't mind that, considering I actually thought that it was really sweet of him to help her out to such an extent. When I asked him more about his sister, Jane, he told me that she struggled with a lot of things. She wasn't in the place mentally ever since his father passed away, and that reflected a lot in her life. She was unable to hold on to jobs and was very quick to quit. His mother got tired of her antics and kicked her out when she was 23, but she begged and pleaded with Devin to help her out. He felt sorry for her, especially because he could sympathize with her and agreed to help her out. I will say that I wasn't a big fan of the reasoning, because I am a big believer in your mental health being a reason and not an excuse for your behavior. But from what Devin told me, she refused to get treated, and that to me just seemed negligent. Regardless, I knew that Devin cared for her deeply, and I was no one to question anything, so I let my opinions go. Jane and I got along like oil and water. For some reason that even Devin couldn't fathom, she absolutely hated my guts. Of course, I tried my best to get along with her. I tried my best to make her like me. For instance, she mentioned once how she really wanted this one really expensive chair for her room. It was one of those artistic chairs that had a nice fabric over it and was shaped like an indented teardrop. I had the money for it, so I surprised her with it. Now, any normal person would react with shock and would be really grateful for it, but Jane wasn't normal like that. She initially thought that Devin had gifted her the chair, so she fawned over him. She kept thanking him over and over again. The thing is, the gift didn't say who it was from, and neither had she mentioned her longing for the chair to Devin. I happened to be standing with her and the other women of Devin's family when she mentioned it. We simply walked into her house and told her there was a surprise for her in the driveway. A part of me wanted her to keep believing in that. But Devin wasn't one to keep his mouth shut when he could clearly see that I was hurting and upset. I seriously don't know how to thank you for this, Devin. This is crazy. How did you even find out that I wanted this? Yeah, it's almost as crazy as if I didn't know about you wanting it, but somehow managed to buy it for you. Huh? What do you mean? I'm trying to say that I didn't buy this for you. You didn't? Then who did? Well, Eva did. She heard you mention it and immediately purchased it for you. Oh, thanks, I guess, Eva. You're welcome. I really hope you like it. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have picked this color, but it's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Don't apologize about a thing, Eva. What is wrong with you, Jane? What? What did I say? Are you serious? When you thought that this thing was brought by me, you were going crazy thanking me for it. The second I mentioned that Eva bought it for you, your entire mood shifted so fast and suddenly. You have an issue with it? Look, I'm happy with whatever you get me. But Eva, I can clearly tell this is her pathetic excuse for trying to win me over. The least she could have done was at least pick a color she knew would go with my aesthetic. Right, because that's what matters, and not the fact that Jane decided to spend her leftover money on you instead of herself. You know what? You're a disgusting person. I better hear an apology from you to Eva, or I'm never talking to or seeing you again. Jane tried to say something, but Devin grabbed my arm and led me to the car. I was a crying mess by that point. I couldn't understand what I had done that was so wrong to Jane for her to treat me so rudely. The stark difference between her reaction to Devin buying the chair and me doing it was something that cut really deep. Devon pulled over somewhere once we were a good distance away from Jane's house and hugged me. I was sobbing because of how hurt and upset I was. Devon told me that he would never speak to Jane again, regardless of whether she sent an apology or not. But I didn't want to be responsible for a break in his relationship with her. Jane did send me an apology the next day, but it was just one line. "I'm sorry you felt hurt." That was it. It wasn't even a proper apology. She clearly hadn't been sorry. I mean, she shifted the blame of my feelings onto me instead of owning up to her actions. She clearly only did it so she still got to talk to Devon. Not to mention, she knew she needed his money, and cutting him off was going to be stupid money. Even her apology hurt, but I didn't tell Devon about it. I told him that she had apologized and lied, that she sent me a message that was sincere. He asked to see it, but I didn't let him see it. He knew that I was covering for Jane, but he didn't ask any more. He knew how I felt about him being there for Jane, and he knew that Jane's apology would only anger him more, so he let it go. After that, things only got worse between Jane and me. She got even snarkier with me. She hated that Devon prioritized me so much that he was willing to threaten a break in their relationship. I tried my best to resolve things with her without involving Devon. Devon was very outspoken with his emotions, and I was worried that having him there would only make things worse between Jane and me. So I took the initiative to ask Jane out for lunch one day. Jane initially tried to toy with me and asked me if I was even worth it. I decided to put my ego aside for a second and pleaded with her to just meet me and talk things out. Jane laughed at me and told me I could only have 1 hour with her. I felt both happy and disgusted. I was happy that Jane agreed to meet me, yet I was disgusted at what I had to do for her to say yes. Nonetheless, I took it as a win that she agreed and prepared myself for what was to come. I wanted to reach a middle ground with her. I didn't want her to hate me, and I was okay with her not liking me either. I just wanted her to be civil with me. In hindsight, I now realize just how sad that actually is. And so Jane and I met at a cafe. I made sure to dress as nicely as I could for a small cafe date, but Jane still scoffed and looked at me in disgust. I put that aside and sat down with her to talk. "Hi, Jane, how are you?" "Well, I could be doing better." "Oh, is something wrong?" "Clearly, I'm spending my time here talking to you when I could be doing a million other things." "Wow, okay. See, this is what I wanted to talk to you about." "What?" "I wanted to ask you just why do you like being mean to me?" "I don't like being mean to you. I just can't help but be mean towards you." "That's even worse. Why is that the case, though? Did I do or say something to you to make you dislike me this much?" "Are you being serious? Everything you say makes me wish I was deaf, and everything you do makes me want to punch you." "Well, why is that?" "Oh, don't start crying. You asked for this. Deal with it. I don't know how to explain it, but I simply don't like you." "That can't be the case. It's understandable to dislike someone for no reason to a certain extent, of course, but to actually go out of your way to be mean to me just because I exist is beyond cruel and unreasonable." "Look, Eva, I just don't like you. I don't like the way you do things or the way you sound. I hate that Devon cares about you so much when he clearly deserves better. I just don't like you, and I will make sure you know of it." "That's really mean. Is there any middle ground that we could reach? Like maybe we could just work out a deal to be civil? I just want you to not actively make me feel like crap. Maybe just ignore me instead of insulting me. How about you don't tell me what to do and I do whatever I want to?" "I didn't mean to offend. Ugh, you don't even deserve the 1 hour. I'm going. Pay for my drink. Bye." With that, Jane left me sitting there, speechless at what had just happened. It took a moment for the shock to settle in. I paid the bill and went and sat in my car before the waterworks began. I was sobbing yet again. How could someone be just that mean? It had been years since I had actually been treated that meanly. The last time I was bullied was essentially in high school. It was even more upsetting because it felt like nothing I did would ever work towards fixing our relationship. That day, when I went back home, I had to relay everything that happened to Devin in the most unemotional manner that I could muster. He got angry yet again, but I begged him to stay out of it. I reminded him about how Jane really did not like me because of how much he cared for me. If he kept interrupting, it would make it worse for me. I think the straw that broke the camel's back for us was when Jane was really rude to me when I had suffered a miscarriage. Devin and I decided to start trying for a family after about a year of being married. We had always shared a deep desire to raise kids of our own, and we worked really hard in the previous year to save for our child. When we found out I was pregnant, we were both ecstatic. I remember how both of us cried because it felt like the final piece of the puzzle was falling into place. The first 3 months of the pregnancy were okay. I had the morning sickness and body soreness, but other than that, it was rather uneventful. In my 4th month, however, I ended up miscarrying. It was traumatic for me. I remember being unable to function for a long while because I felt like such a failure. I could tell that even Devin was heartbroken, but he did his best to make me feel better. There was not a moment where he left me alone. He had his mother or my mother take turns staying with me during the weekdays while he went to work. The both of us decided to have a family gathering as a way to cheer me up. Aside from his sister, the rest of Devin's family were literal sweethearts. They loved me to bits and showed it to me in every single way that they could. I knew that having them around would definitely cheer me up. I didn't invite Jane, and neither did Devin, but she showed up anyway. Apparently, my mother-in-law had accidentally told about our little get-together, and she decided that an invite was not a necessary thing to go somewhere. I was annoyed to see her at first, but I decided to make the best of my situation nonetheless. I avoided Jane the entire time. There were multiple occasions where she tried to get me into a conversation with her, but I refused to engage her. Devin also did his best to keep a lookout for Jane. Whenever he saw her approaching me, he would warn me, and I would move further away from her. I would use the excuse of talking to others to get her to not try and start a conversation with me. But alas, I couldn't keep her away from me for the entire night. She ended up finding me when I was getting myself a glass of water. She walked into the kitchen where there was nobody else but me and asked me why I was avoiding her. "Eva, why are you avoiding me?" I wasn't avoiding you. What made you think that I was avoiding you? Don't even try to act like you weren't. You're a horrible liar. Look, both you and I know how much you dislike me. I just wanted to avoid all that negativity for today. Lord knows I've had enough negativity in my life right now. Oh, right, you just had a miscarriage. Yeah. Anyways, if you'll excuse me. Hold on now that you miscarried. I have a favor to ask you. I don't think I want to. My friend got pregnant recently, and since you won't be needing your maternity clothes anymore, could you give them to me so I can give them to my friend? Are you actually being serious right now? Well, yes. Maternity clothes are expensive, and I have the opportunity to help my friend out, so why wouldn't I? I miscarried only 2 months ago, and you're asking for my maternity clothes? Did pregnancy make you stupid or not? You are an insensitive jerk, and I want nothing to do with you anymore. I better never see your face again. I left her and ran to my room, tears flowing down my face. Devin had been walking over to the kitchen to check up on me when I passed by him crying. Devin got concerned and followed me upstairs to our room. I broke down and sobbed for a long while after that. Devin just held me in his arms until I calmed myself down enough to tell him what happened. Devin saw red after he found out what had happened. He rushed downstairs and gave Jane a good piece of his mind. I could hear the yelling from my room. From what Devin told me, he had flown into a blind rage and chewed Jane out. She began crying and trying to defend herself. Apparently, she meant to sound insensitive, and it just came out wrong. Devin didn't care about what she had to say and threw her out of the house. From there, the air got too awkward and Devin wasn't in the mood to host. Everyone slowly left while obviously sending me their love and condolences. Devin and I decided that we were through with Jane after that. I mean, it takes a special kind of hatred to be so unbothered and nonchalant when talking to a woman who just miscarried, especially regarding the things that remind her of her tragedy. Devin stopped helping Jane out financially. Initially, I had been against that. I'm not helping Jane out financially anymore. What? You can't do that. Why? Why shouldn't I do that? Look, it's one thing to go no contact with her, but to cut off her means of living is a bit harsh, don't you think? What good is cutting off contact with her and still helping her out financially? It may not do much to her. But we have the peace of mind we always wanted. Isn't that enough? It may be enough for you, but it's not for me. If Jane thinks it's okay to continuously disrespect the woman I love, I don't see why there's any reason to help her out. If anything, it makes me feel like I'm disrespecting you. I'm telling you that you aren't disrespecting me in any way. I'm so happy that you care about my family and my relations with them this much. But you have to realize that you're doing it at the expense of your well-being. While you may not care for it as much as I do. Oh, honey. Besides, I've given Jane more than enough time to get back on her feet. If she hasn't learned how to manage yet, then she never will. You're right. And if we plan on starting a family, there's no way that we can afford to support her. Exactly. She brought this on herself, and she has to live with the consequences of her actions. I was a little afraid to see how Jane would manage. She had a history of not doing things right. But I decided that it really was for the better. That would be the final tie that was cut off, and we truly would have nothing to do with her. I was also worried that this was a big reaction to one comment she made, but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this was not a result of one comment, but of multiple comments made over the span of years. Of course, we gave Jane a heads up that it was the last month that we were supporting her. She did not take it well, but that was a conversation that Devin handled. After that, we didn't hear from or see Jane for an entire year. A lot of things happened in that year. For starters, Devin got a huge promotion at work, and that allowed us to save even more for a child. The next and the best thing that happened was that I got pregnant. This time we waited until I was past 4 months to tell everyone because I didn't want anyone else involved. My mother-in-law threw a party for me at my place. She did inform us that Jane had been living there for the last 3 months because she didn't have enough money and she was going to attend the event. Devin and I figured that enough time had passed and we were in a much better place, so interacting with her wasn't going to be an issue. The night before the party, I got a message from an unknown account on Facebook who introduced themselves as Jane's friend, Melissa. She told me that she had to tell me something because she couldn't keep something this big from me. She then sent me an audio recording of a conversation between her and Jane. I tried my best to get you the maternity clothes you wanted. Oh, it's okay, no worries. My sister-in-law was such a jerk about it, though. Jeez. What do you mean? I mean, yeah, she just had a miscarriage, but there was no reason to make such a fuss about giving away her maternity clothes. Hold on. You asked a woman who miscarried for her maternity clothes? Yeah, but if I'm being really honest here, she deserved it. She deserved to miscarry? Yeah, I can't even tell you how hard I laughed when I found out. Like, that's what she gets for being such a pathetic loser. She even failed to do the most basic things. Jane. My brother also has to suffer with her, which, after today, he deserves it too. He's been so naive, and I guess I ruined it. Poor thing, really thought I was struggling really bad, so he's been sending me lots of money. He doesn't even know what kind of things I've been buying thanks to his pity." The recording cut off there, but I can tell you I was livid. I was done. I didn't show it to Devin because I was going to use it as my trump card. I knew that Jane would try to pull something at the party, and this was going to be my way to silence her once and for all. At the party, of course, Jane was hammered when we got there. She then went around to everyone and began telling them about my crappy personality, and also tried to tell people that the baby that was inside me wasn't Devin's, but my side lover. I only knew about that because I got a lot of weird looks throughout the event, and finally Devin's aunt walked up to me and asked me about it. Maybe it was because I was pregnant, or maybe I was just tired of Jane, but I walked over to where the speakers were and connected my phone to it. I asked everyone to give me their attention for a moment. I addressed the things that Jane had been saying about me and told everyone it was not true at all. I then asked them to listen to an interesting recording that I had procured. I played it, and the entire room went dead silent. Everyone stared at Jane with horror while she looked like she had just seen a ghost. My mother-in-law was the first to move. She walked over to Jane and asked her what her problem was. Jane had no answer. Nobody wanted to look at Jane properly after that. Devin simply grabbed my arm and we walked out. He didn't want me to get too stressed out about anything, so we walked away. From what I heard afterward, Jane got kicked out by my mother-in-law and nobody wanted anything to do with her. She tried to contact us, but Devin blocked her number and all her social media accounts on both of our phones. Jane even went as far as to email us. She sent us a long email enlisting all the reasons she hated us and how we ruined her life. We were too done with her to care. I knew that Devin was also really hurt by the way that Jane talked about him, but he knew that yelling at her would only give her the satisfaction of having gotten the reaction out of him, so he remained silent. We did end up going to therapy and sorting our feelings out, and now we are in a much better place. I'm due to give birth to a healthy baby girl soon, and I can't wait for her to have a much calmer life now that the main stressor in our lives is out for good.